creating a brighter future in communication.
Good evening from Banjul and welcome to Grts News at 8. In the headlines tonight, on the second leg of his dialogue with the People tour, President Jammeh reiterates his call for young people to be involved more actively in nation building. Trust Bank Gambia Limited delivers to the Vice President a $100,000 donation meant for the National Disaster Management Agency. Senegalese President Abdoulaye Wade appoints a new elections minister amidst calls by the country's opposition for the sacking of the Interior Minister, who holds that responsibility. And Norway's Muslim community gripped by fear after last week's killer of 76 people who claims his action was to save Europe from Muslim influence. These stories and much more coming ahead in the news. I am Isa Tudavo. You're watching the news on Grts and we thank you for joining us. President Jammeh has again called on young people to be responsible and contribute positively towards national development. The Gambian leader made the remarks at a meeting in Pirang and Block as he began his second leg of his dialogue with the People tour. Thousands were at hand to welcome President Jammeh and entourage to show their support and solidarity. The Gambian leader appealed passionately to the youths to be industrious to become better leaders of the future. The Gambian leader also urged the people of Fonyi to be united at all times as more development projects are in the offing. The Vice President and Chairperson of the Disaster Governing Council has received a check for $100,000 from Trust Bank, donated to the National Disaster Management Agency at the State House. The Vice President also received 15 bags of rice from members of the Operation No Back Way to Europe for onward transmission to the Jammeh Foundation for Peace. State prosecutors have presented 2 more witnesses in the ongoing murder trial against former National Drug Enforcement Agency officers Echo Grant and Ibulo at the High Court Special Criminal Division. Ibrahim Ajata was at the High Court and he now reports.
Prosecutors presented 2 witnesses during today's proceedings in the murder trial against the former narcotics officers. Usman Balo Ebaba, who told the court that he runs a hair salon in Banjul, testified as the 5th witness of prosecution in the Special Criminal Court. Balo accused that in April 2011, someone came to his salon and told him that he was needed at the Royal Victoria Teaching Hospital to save a sick person. The prosecution witness explained how the patient started crying when he was saving him and the eventual discovery of some wounds on his head. Defense lawyers refused to cross-examine, and prosecutors ushered in witness number 6, Suleiman Ba, a student from Bakau Sanchaba. The witness related events which occurred on the 25th of March 2011 when he heard a sound while in his house and decided to find out what it was about. When I came out, I saw the deceased Cherno Aliou Suare bleeding as the first accused gripped his dreadlocks. He was eventually taken away by the officers. Suleiman Balo told the Special Criminal Court. The 6th prosecution witness said in May 2011 he was called by police for questioning. The trial continues. Ibrahim Ajata, Grts.
Personnel of the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, the National Environment Agency, and the Association of Early Childhood Educators recently met for a 2-day forum to evaluate the gains registered by a pro-environment intervention called the Green Environment Education Project. Babkar Kamara reports the intervention reached out to 65 nursery schools and more than 7,000 children.
It is the Green Advocacy campaign that lasted for 4 solid years in the Smiling Coast, using nursery students at the grassroots level. They are back in business and this time around evaluating their first environmental pilot project that covers 65 nursery schools across the country.
We are here today to evaluate the program, the Greenie program. Greenie, as we all know, is an environmental program. And the bottom-up approach we are looking at in this program is for the children to carry the message to the adults in the communities.
We have invited 32 or 35 participants And then tomorrow we'll also have another 35, which is a good number, and sure these numbers would be able to spread the message around.
The environmental education project under review has reached over 7,000 children and their communities. However, project officials are still concerned about some of their project findings.
We believe this project is a success, yeah, but we only can prove that if these books ending up in the communities and are not stuck at the schools. Yeah. I understand your sentiments. Yeah. I would hate to let go of a book like that. And then 2 weeks later I see it maybe in the dirt because a child hasn't taken care of it. This is a risk we have to take.
The two-day forum is set to build on the adaptable best practices registered by the project, while allowing children to take the lead role in their community initiative.
We love Greenie, we love Greenie, yes we do.
Babukar Kamara, GRTS.
Officials of the Ministry of Trade have been trying to validate a medium-term plan to map out a strategy upon which the Gambia trade policy will operate. The meeting was a day-long deliberation of various economic actors to discuss the medium-term strategy. Ajay Amisise has more.
With the economic crisis hitting hard the economies of even developed countries, the World Trade Organization is on its toes striving to find solutions to the long-standing problem. The latest to succumb to the meltdown is the U.S., with its debt crisis making headlines on channels around the world, a worrisome moment for world markets. When the food crisis cropped up in 2008, the Gambian Delasses was badly hit, making the Trade Ministry tighten its belt in their strive to strengthen trade operations in the country. Since then, the Gambia has witnessed steady economic progress made by the ministry, which has also propelled various mechanisms taken by the government and the World Trade Organization to expand on trade-related infrastructure as well as deepen the trade facilitation process to boost the Gambia's competitiveness. The Gambia Trade Ministry, in their continuous attempts to accelerate growth and employment, is validating a medium-term strategic plan to set the framework of operations for the national trade policy.
The ministry hired a consultant to prepare a medium-term plan to implement the DTIS as well as the prescriptions in the trade policy.
The 2004 trade policy was successfully reviewed by the World Trade Organization, who commended the government on the different strides they have taken to stabilize the economy against the obvious negative impact of the global financial and economic crises. The ministry still has plans to further strengthen trade operations in the country.
It also aims at improving and maintaining competitive trading environment that is capable of enhancing domestic production, improving export performance, and harnessing the Gambia's comparative advantage in the service sector.
Working closely with stakeholders towards achieving the government's desire to improve the competitiveness of the business environment and diversification of the economy is a priority to the Ministry of Trade.
We would also hope to look at the plans and prioritize them based on the Gambia's needs.
National trade policies set to identify gaps in the economy of countries gives clear synopsis when reviewed of economic environments, trade and investment regimes. Having a medium-term plan for the operations of the national trade policy may avail significant developments which could have an impact on the global trading systems, which might be just the right answer to the economic recessions we face now. For GRTS News, I am Ajay Amisise.